Chapter 7, Opening Night. Daniel finished getting dressed. The magpies chased him out of the door, across the hall of stairways and through the curtain. Mr. Silver was waiting behind his desk in the shop front. "The only downside to travelling by flame," he said, expecting Daniel to know what he was talking about, "is the mess it tends to create." He ran his hand along a tabletop, coating his fingers with a thick layer of soot. "Your official Emporium duties, in the beginning at least, will consist of keeping the front of shop presentable. I expect this place to be shining when we open to the public this evening." Daniel gazed around the soot-covered room. "When do we open?" Silver raised a finger, shook off the soot. "Our doors open at twilight and close at dawn." And so, with excitement buzzing through him and a job to keep his mind busy, Daniel set to work, cleaning and tidying and clearing the place of soot. Everything was filthy. How long had it been since Mr. Silver last cleaned? Daniel adjusted columns of books and polished the silver and jetstone pieces of a beautiful chess set. Every time he turned away, the pieces would move around the board as though a game between the two invisible opponents were underway. So much work made the day rush past, and by early evening the day had melted to twilight. Daniel became aware that a curious crowd was beginning to gather outside. He peered out through the window. "Why haven't they come before now?" he said. "We've been here for 2 days." Mr. Silver, who was at his desk writing in his battered old book, barely glanced up. "Most of them haven't noticed us until now," he said. Daniel narrowed his eyes. "You mean you haven't let them notice, don't you?" To which Mr. Silver only smiled. Then, at last, Silver snapped his book shut, locked it away in its drawer, stood up and threw on his coat. "Show time," he said, patting his hair in a futile attempt to flatten the wild tangle. The door of the Emporium creaked open. Silence poured into the shop, deep and electric. Daniel held his breath, listening to the drumbeat of his own heart. Mr. Silver held out his right hand, then waved his left hand over it. Where only a moment ago there'd been nothing but empty space, a dove sat in his palm, white feathers glowing in the light of the fire. Daniel breathed 100 different scents: chocolate and wood fire, pipe smoke and cinnamon. Mr. Silver's grey eyes shone as he released the dove and watched it fly out into the darkness. "Welcome to opening night, Daniel Holmes."